Hello, friend, and welcome to your sleep story. My name is Amir, and I have the honor of being the voice you hear before you go to sleep tonight. I'm continuing my sleepy, immersive history series, and tonight we're going to Versailles, the magnificent palace in France that was constructed by Sun King Louis I on the 14th. During this experience, you'll be met by a kind and amiable guide who will walk you through Versailles on a candlelit evening while discovering the beauty and intricate craftsmanship that went into this magnificent location. All right, let's begin the relaxation session, which will take a few minutes prior to tonight's bedtime tale. I'll count down from 10 to 1, so as I do, give yourself permission to continue to feel the support of the floor, the bed underneath you, or whatever you're lying on tonight. Below that, feel the earth's unwavering support, because it's always there. The support that the earth, our home, provides for us. And as you become more conscious of that support, try to let go a little more. Then release whatever you might be holding a little more. Now that you are safe, let my voice be your friend tonight, to serve as a guide that leads you to escape comfort and tranquility, while letting you know that my voice will only ever lead you to places of safety, kindness, and wonder and magic. When the day is over, whatever has happened, has any thoughts you may have tonight concerning the past or the future should be recognized as useless at this moment. Do not attempt to combat them. Instead, acknowledge them for what they are. Thoughts, in order to view them when they arrive, and subsequently watch them depart like leaves on a moonlit river, or clouds moving by through a starry sky. You separate from your possessions that you can readily let go of right now. See if you can discover the 7 P's that is inside you tonight. It is a constant companion that is simply waiting to be discovered and experienced. Peace should be a source of comfort tonight, allowing it to slowly radiate throughout your body and mind so that you can unwind and let go. Now, 6. This is your time. We all accept that reality to allow you to let go more and more so that you can gradually ease into this particular moment. Time, you deserve breath. You need tranquility. 5. You have nothing left to carry, nowhere to go, and nothing to do right now. This is your time, so enjoy it and find comfort in it. 4. Maybe give yourself a little gratitude. Now express thankfulness for the small things in life. The shelter you have tonight, the people you love, and the breath in your body. 3. You also start to use your imagination and start to picture a building that is different from others. Your body has worked hard for you, and now you are about to encounter this location far from anything you know. It is magnificent, vast and lovely, and it is fully lit by candles. It's time for it to rest today and let go fully. Now, as I tell you tonight's sleep story, you are in France, and the year is 1780. It is late in the day, and the sun has set behind the garden's trees. The air smells of damp stone and the subtle sweetness of late roses. And as you start to stroll through this lovely area, you can hear the fountains running. The palace of Versailles is broad and golden under the gentle evening sky. Although they are silent, they are rushing like faraway whispers behind a heavy door in the world. Outside of the American colonies that have proclaimed their independence, the winds are shifting over the oceans. But behind these walls, the world seems unspoiled and everlasting. The court continues to dance. The dinner bells continue to ring, and the couriers continue to arrive and depart over the wide gravel walkways. Tonight, you are a part of it. You are a visitor, and the hours are yours to spend however you like. There is no urgency or anxiety, just the leisurely evening and the profound sense of comfort that comes from being a part of a place created for beauty. You are standing at the edge of the marble dot courtyard. The air feels cool on your skin, and the palace's magnificent exterior spreads out in front of you, with its tall windows and gilded balconies catching the last of the light from lanterns that have been lighted among the colonnades, creating warm circles on the stone. A servant walks by his clean footsteps, even carrying a tray with 2 crystal glasses and a bottle of wine. His coat is rich blue with silver buttons along the front, and he travels slowly because there is enough time for everything tonight. You can feel the age of the marble beneath your shoes, not in a decaying fashion, but rather like a sturdy tree that has stood in a field for centuries because it is smooth and has been worn by many feet. Everything in this place has been built to last you a lifetime. The royal gates are closed for the night, and 1,000 candles are being lit inside the walls as your palm slowly brushes across the cool iron of the balustrade, and a harp's accord plays a gentle melody that drifts out of one of the open windows far above you. The night is just getting started, and you can see the palace in front of you. It is not just big, it is something else. 1,000 discussions are starting, and you are free to move wherever you want without anyone stopping or hurrying you. When you stop to look closely, you notice the biggest royal palace the world has ever seen. You wouldn't believe how many windows there are simply by looking, but there are over 700 dot rooms. But there are more than 2,000, and the walls are so long that you can't see the other end when you're standing at one end. Originally, Versailles was a hunting lodge for a king who loved the outdoors and the forests. That king was Louis the Wen. His son Louis the XIV saw that the small lodge was insufficient. He planned to construct a palace so large and light-filled that no one would ever forget it or him. Tens of thousands of laborers were needed to complete the project when it first started. The fountains were among the most intricate in the world, fed by rivers that had to be redirected just to keep them flowing. The Hall of Mirrors, where you will walk later tonight, was the first of its kind. A long, bright lake that was carved out of the ground and gardens that were dug and shaped by hand. In the late 1600s, glass like that was uncommon and valuable. To fill a gallery with 17 mirrored arches reflecting the light of 17 tall windows facing the gardens, no one had dared to do it before. As you can see, Versailles was designed to be more than merely all. Though it was a house, it was also a statement chiseled in stone and gold that the king was powerful. France was wealthy, and life itself could be made perfect with enough care. Even today, as you stand here on the stones, you can feel it. The air seems too. The courtyard extends out behind you, and the grand staircase is ahead. Everything seems finer, as if it had been filtered through silk. Every walkway is calculated. Every tree is positioned, and every wall is angled precisely to capture the light. Beyond that, the palace was designed to house thousands of people, including courtiers, nobles, servants, and galleries. The rooms are packed with tapestries, clocks, and chandeliers that are so heavy that they dangle from chains that are thicker than your wrist. It is calm here tonight, and only a few hundred people are here, so there is more room for you to breathe. You enter the gateway and enter the palace itself, where the air changes as you enter. The guards are all going through the halls for their own reasons. This place is colder, with a hint of perfume, aged wood, and beeswax. The flooring are marble, and the ceilings are high above, depicting gods and battles, all of which are captured in the silence of the evening light. It seems as though you have always been here, going at your own leisure through a world created for you as you stroll slowly across the big hall. Only the quiet murmur of distant voices touching your ears like the sound of leaves in the breeze, pomp and amazement. And you can hear thunder rumbling in the distance as you walk, which just heightens the sense of security within these magnificent walls. The first raindrops fall on the large windows beyond. You turn a corner and see a woman waiting at the base of a grand staircase. She is dressed in a courtly gown of pale blue silk that gleams in the light as she moves, and she stands silently with her hands folded in front of her and a faint smile on her lips. She is gentle and says your name without asking. And she says in a quiet, soft voice that you are welcome here. She is aware that you have traveled a long distance, and she is not afraid. Voice simply replies, you are safe. You can go wherever you want. No one here will see you. You are a guest of the house itself, and I will be your guide. You feel a profound sense of calm descend over you, as though a secret door has silently opened inside of you. You nod, and she knows, so you don't have to say anything. She takes a slow step up the stairs, and you follow it. The marble railing feels cool under your hand, and as you ascend, the hole around you widens, leading to a gallery with golden accents. She goes on to explain that these hallways were constructed during the reign of Louis V, the 16th grandchild of Louis XV and great-great-grandfather of Louis XV, and that they have doors and crystal sconces that capture and retain the flickering candlelight as you go. He claims that despite all of the changes, there are still many things that are the same, such as the palace's gleaming exterior, the gardens that spread to the distant horizon, the mirrors that catch the sun, and a huge door that opens to reveal a room of more candles stand in high sconces, their light spilling across the polished floors, and hundreds more candles burn in the large chandeliers above, swaying gently in the air while each flame remains steady and tiny, each kept in a cup of gold along the walls. When the guide advances, slightly ahead of you, her gown stirs the light as she passes through it, like a hand flowing through water. He looks back and smiles, waiting for you to notice it. The painted ceilings and the thick drape drawn back from the windows, the candlelight pools at your feet remind everyone that there is more than enough. And she whispers gently, this is the salon of abundance. It was designed for evenings like these to bring people together for delight. It permeates the carved tables, the towering vases with summertime scenes painted on them, the empty seats and the cold marble. It softens the magnificent paintings that are so high above you that the gods and muses appear to float down into the room. You remain motionless and let it to wash over you. The guide speaks again, saying that since you have come a long way to be here, there is nothing more for you to do. The warmth of it touches your face, your hands, the flicker, and the glow settle into your breath and bones. Maybe you sense it. Then the gradual release of the old weights inside of you, the way the golden air envelops you and fills the voids left by concern, and the way your body stands more naturally now, as though recalling something it has always known as you move a little further into the chamber. The floorboards creak softly beneath your feet, creating a sound as gentle as breathing. The guide remains close by, but she does not rush you. The candles continue to burn, and you are a part of this luminous quiet in a world that was meant to be lovely, peaceful, and good. She is aware that time moves differently in settings like this. As you softly brush your fingertips over the back of a carved chair, the candles flicker in your eyes, appearing to go on forever. Above you, the ceiling rises dot in the candlelight. The picture vibrates softly, as though the entire ceiling were alive and breathing. The guide talks again, her voice as quiet and certain as ever. Far away, there are angels, soft-colored clouds, and enormous ropes of flowers twisting through the air before all of this. Jesus used beauty, not strength or fear, to uplift your spirit and remind you of what is still within of you. You stood there for a little while longer, allowing her words to sink in. When you're ready, they nod and you resume walking with her. But your steps are now easier and slower since you've forgotten about the outside world. They sink in like a nice blanket on your shoulders. Through another high gateway, the palace appears to be very far away. Another hall opens up in front of you with more polished floors, candlelight, and a profound silence that at night feels like the deepest section of a forest. You follow her down a lengthy hallway where the walls are covered with thick tapestries depicting hunting scenes, gardens, and kings wearing bright red cloaks. You can hear your footsteps and the rain outside, but you continue walking with the guide by your side as the long night unfolds ahead. Like a road across beautiful fields, the guide walks slightly ahead of you, her skirts brushing the floor, and she turns her head slightly before speaking to you over her shoulder. "Easy and sure," she says. "My life here is not as grand as it may seem." The condor's light changes across them as you pass them, giving the impression that the figures are moving silently in the darkness. She grins slightly, as though recalling something partially delicate, and adds, "We always wake up early at the first bell before the sun touches the gardens." A woman of the court must constantly be prepared to be seen, not out of vanity, but because appearance is a duty and a component of honoring the monarch. You walk in step with her, and the air now has a subtle lavender scent. It is exhausting. There are ceremonies for everything, she says. The king's meals, his walks in the garden, audiences, suppers, small gatherings in the salons. And there is always the watching. We watch, but he says it without resentment. And beeswax, the scents trapped in the folds of the old stone. Though it is true that the sun rises in the east, he adds that there are also peaceful times when you may sit by a window and see the gardens as they turn gold in the afternoon, when Music fills the air, and you temporarily lose yourself in the hallway. The guide smiles again, a bit broader this time, and adds, "This next place was made for wonder." You turn and see the shimmer of something brighter and wider far ahead. Step through a tall arched arch to reach the light. The hall of mirrors and the doorway open up around you like a second planet. The polished wood floor is smooth and spacious beneath your soft shoe soles, while the ceiling is high above and painted with magnificent depictions of victories and conflicts. Tall windows that stretch the length of the hall are caught in the golden haze of candlelight on one side. The garden's forms are still visible, even though the glass panes are now dark from the rainwater dripping on them. On the opposite side, facing the windows, are 17 arches of mirrors, each reflecting the light and the dark, the condors and the night. Beyond the tidy rows of trees are still pools of water that capture the last remnants of the sky. When this hall was originally constructed, the guide walks gently next to you, her voice quiet, as though talking too loudly might disturb the surroundings. The sky seems to hover in its own reflection. The chandeliers hang in rows from the ceiling, their crystal drop catching every flicker of flame and spinning it into tiny circles. It was said that there was nothing else like it in the world. Mirrors were expensive back then, so it was a wonder to fill an entire gallery with them. Rainbows. The air seems to be filled with warmth and gold, and as you go slowly and quietly, you can see your own reflection moving alongside you in the long, flawless glass. It doesn't feel like you're staring at yourself. The guide pauses you in the middle of the corridor for a time, and all that can be heard is the gentle ticking of the candles, the rain outside, and the enormous palace's gradual breathing. It's like traveling through a dream of light and quiet. She claims that this location was created for festivities, treaties, dances, and times when the world wanted to see itself at its best. Now it is yours to enjoy without any obligations or demands, just the unadulterated beauty of that first glance. The hall is so large that you believe it must have appeared all at once, but it wasn't. Nothing. It wraps itself about you like a coat against the cold. You remain motionless and gaze closer. Hurried, every inch was created by hand, by skilled artisans. The guide's voice resurfaces softly next to you, explaining that each mirror was created one at a time by glassblowers from France and Venice, who cut and polished each. You examine the mirrors more closely now that they are not the flat, flawless sheets of your own time. Instead, they have small bends, waves, and breathing imperfections that cause them to hold the light differently. They worked by hand, using both candlelight and daylight, and you can tell by the shape of their breath. On the glass, it is softer, warmer, and more vibrant. The chandeliers were also crafted piece by piece, with each crystal drop being cut and ground to catch the light, so that no two were precisely same. The flooring you walk on were set by workers who spent months fitting each piece of wood into the next, hammering and smoothing while listening to the grain's voice beneath their hands. The walls were gilded, and no two were constructed in a rush. A single room could take a season. A single doorway could take weeks, and even the grounds had their craftsmen clipping the bushes by hand. The gold leaf was pressed onto carved wood with a brush and a steady hand, pounded thin enough to lift with a breath. You can feel the weight of that period in the stones beneath you. It's a good, steady weight that serves as a reminder that the best things are not rushed. They are constructed. The fountains are fed by channels that were dug with shovels and muscle. Nothing moved quicker than the hands that shaped it as you proceed down the hall slowly. Patiently and with faith, the guide remains close by, her hands folded delicately in front of her, her head tilted in silent focus. A low, continuous stirring of voices can be heard ahead. The gathering candles burn thicker at the far end of the hall, their light pulling brighter there, golden and deep. And the mirrors catch and reflect it back, creating 1,000 tiny suns glowing softly in the background. The sound is not hurried nor loud as the court gathers. The guide bends in your direction and says, "They come to wait, to be seen, to witness the king." You proceed slowly as figures take shape in the candlelight and men in silk. They do not see you. You are not a part of their world. You move among them like a dream or an idea. The air becomes thicker here, heavy with embroidery. Women in gowns that glitter with every step. Their cheeks are powdered pale, and their hair is piled high with ribbons and jewels. At the farthest end of the corridor, a wide doorway stands open, and beyond it, another chamber glows with deeper light. There is a calm clearing of throats, a smooth shifting of shoes on the floor, and the scent of ancient wood and beeswax. The king will arrive in that manner. The guide touches your arm gently, her fingers calm and warm. "The king will come soon," she whispered, and the courtiers move and whisper. The vast mirrors catch every movement and folded into light as the shoes glide delicately on the floors with softly fluttering bands and closed shoes. You remain at the edge of them undetected and watch as the old dance of appearances is performed, complete with the meticulous nods that have been trained, grins as he takes the little, flawless steps, and then, after a long pause, the king emerges. He is not what you would have expected. He is a guy wearing a cloak covered in embroidery. His hair powdered white, and his face pallid from the weight of history and duty. The guide stands peacefully by your side. She doesn't bend or droop her head. Instead, she observes with assurance and composure, as though she understands that true greatness is found elsewhere. You can now see it. To Dot, the guide grins slightly as the king passes, but the true marvel remains behind him in the craftsmanship of the unidentified hands. Who created this place in the candles that continue to burn patiently in the faint music? Emerging from another far-off room, she turns to face you and says, "They call him king," in a low voice. However, she then gently raises her head to look at the chandeliers, mirrors, and living light, which were created by hundreds of souls. When you feel the silent, inescapable reality of it in your chest, you realize that true greatness is gradual, patient, and shared. Created from 1,000 little tasks, properly done by people whose names are forgotten, but whose work endures. As you exit the court ceremony, the guide shows you the way to a staircase that rises slowly and gently in front of you. It is broad enough for 20 people to walk side by side, but it is now deserted but for you. The marble beneath your feet gleams like water trapped in stone, and each step is deep, and the guide goes by you, her hand lightly following the carved balustrade. She doesn't say anything at first, allowing you to feel the movement in the low, which is designed to transport heavy robes and cautious shoes without hurry. Your foot lands on the first step, which is cool, smooth, and firm. Your own body, the change in weight, the gradual ascent, the easy descent. And she is aware that some lessons are best conveyed in silence. After a while, as you ascend, she speaks in that low, sure voice that you are starting to the floor under you evaporates as you advance. The next rises to meet you. The space behind you lengthens and vanishes, and the stair turns softly, bringing you beyond tall buildings. She explains that every step is a tiny letting go that you feel as you move. The guide walks easily beside you, her skirts whispering against the wall, and the windows draped with thick velvet past niches where marble busts of forgotten men gaze down without seeing the candles on the wall burn steadily and small, their flames leaning neither forward nor back here, even though the fire is not in a hurry. Marble stated, "Some things are meant to be set down, and some things are too heavy for long roads." The higher you climb, the lighter you feel. You notice it not in your legs, but somewhere else where it's harder to carry a lot of stuff. At the next landing, the staircase opens into a spacious corridor with tall doors and gilded panels. The air has a subtle scent of old paper, and the part of you that holds on too tightly and looks back too frequently softens and releases its hold. There, you pause for a while with your palm resting lightly on the cool marble rail, breathing in lavender and the wonderful, heavy aroma of wood warmed by centuries of candle flame. With each inhale, you feel more and more calmly. The guide stands next him and says, almost to herself, "Everything that is made with patience lasts longer than memory." He grins, not at you, but at the veracity of her own statement. And you both remain for a while in the cozy silence of thee. The guide now leads you down a lengthy corridor with portraits lining the walls, illuminated only by the slow burning of the wall sconces. The faces in the paintings are those of people who have passed away but were still human. They were other people who simply lived in another world. Palace, the world beyond its walls, is getting farther and farther away, would have the same needs, wants, and thoughts as you or I do. Their clothing is stiff with gold braid and lace, and their hands are resting on sword hilts, folded fans, or lying motionless by their sides. You are not a part of their world, and they are not a part of yours. But you are still somehow linked to them via mankind and a passage of time. The first room you enter is wide open. The guide enters without hesitation, and you follow. It's a magnificent. The room has a high ceiling, walls covered in pale wood that are carved with delicate vine and small bird motifs. A wide carpet that has been worn soft by decades of use, and a fireplace that is so big you could stand inside. A painting of a river at morning hangs above the mantel, the light barely touching the tops of the trees, the water flowing gray and smooth and boundless. The hearth is cold now, but you can still smell the old memory of wood smoke trapped deep in the stones. The guide doesn't say anything for a while. She just stands by the door and lets you take it all in. When you're ready, she nods once and walks you on. You stand in the middle of the room and feel its width and the weight of the silence it holds. You could spend your entire life here and never discover all of its corners. As you approach more away from the palace's center, the air becomes colder. There are fewer lamps, and you get the impression that you are getting closer to peace with every step. The second room is smaller but brighter, with walls draped in tapestries in shades of wheat, and there is a towering clock against one wall, and the furniture is lighter. The sky depicts endless green gardens with small white dogs chasing pheasants through the woods. There are also small writing desks with inlaid wood, cabinets that shine like honey in the candlelight. The windows here are bare, and you can see the gardens outside, dark against the cloud-covered sky. The room feels younger, somehow more alive. And as you pass it, you hear the smooth catch and fall of its hidden gears, counting the hours in a tongue older than words. The chamber is painted with the phases of the moon. The guide does not hurry. Instead, he observes with the tiniest smile, as patient as the stones themselves. As though the people who lived here had only gone yesterday and may return at any time, with laughter and news from the day when you've had enough. She turns, and you follow her farther into the Versailles palace. The third door is unique. It's carved with a design of laurel leaves and tiny birds in flight. The guide moves aside and motions for you to enter, and her hand is steady as you push the door. The room is unlike anything you have ever seen. It is not large or grand like the other rooms were, but it is more beautiful than anything you have ever seen. It opens with the flat of your palm and swings easily on its heavy hinges, as if it has been waiting for you for a long time. Above the bed, which is low and wide and covered with linen, so that they appear to float above the mattress, is a small archway that curves in a low, soft arch. The ceiling is painted the color of a morning sky right before the first light breaks. The walls are painted in light wood that retains the warmth of the day. And when you run your hand across them, you can feel the grain of the tree that once stood in a peaceful forest. In one corner of the room is a table with a silver ewer, a bowl, and a single chair carved with the shapes of vines and lies. The curtains are drawn back and secured with heavy chains, and the air that drifts in has a slight rainy scent. The window is placed deep into the wall, and it is open to the night, allowing you to see the faint glimmer of stars through a little hole in the clouds. The guide enters behind you and says, "This is your room," adding that it has been waiting and that she doesn't need to say anything more. You proceed inside, where the floor is old wood that has been worn soft by many feet, but it feels sturdy beneath you, as though it has never been when it is unable to support the weight that has. Being placed upon it, you slowly turn around and take everything in the bed, the window, and the peaceful night air. You then remain motionless and let the room to fill with everything you brought with you before the you feel only the deep, pure serenity of this place and how it supports you without requiring anything in return. The noise, the weight, and the old sorrows seem to disappear without any effort. You belong here without any proof. You have nothing to prove to the stars, the night, or the patient wood of the old floor. You are just here, and that's enough. The guide walks slowly across the room, stopping in one corner to kneel in front of a pale stone fireplace carved with tiny birds in flight and leaves. She places a small bundle of kindling there. He strikes a flint twice with her confident and trained hands into the fireplace, and the spark catches easily. A tiny flame starts to flicker at the dry twigs, rising steadily and slowly and slowly. You watch her work, and she doesn't say anything because the fire inside of her grows. He adds a log after another, and soon the fire is breathing properly, sending up a thin line of smoke that is swiftly caught by the hidden bugs above. He does this with peaceful assurance and patience, as everything seems to grow here. When the fire is strong enough, the guide stands and lightly brushes her hands on the folds of her skirt. He looks at you and smiles, not the smile of a servant or a host, but the quiet smile of someone who understands how to create a safe space for another person, so he backs off and gives you room to approach. You approach the fireplace and feel the warmth against your skin. It's the kind of heat that creeps in without shocking you and drives the cold out of your bones and makes you feel lighter than before. You briefly extend your hands to it, not because you're cold, but because it feels good to touch something living, and move across the room to the window. The stone beneath the frame feels cool under your hands, so you lean forward a little and gaze out into the you can see the paths, the arcs of the fountains, and the margins of the mowed lawns, as the huge courtyard of Versailles is silent at night beneath you. The air here has a subtle scent. Of it is not the smell of a museum or a ruin. Rather, it is the scent of a living space that is alive with the warmth and breath of the centuries that have passed through its corridors. Complete with waxy stone, damp stone, and the faint recollection of flowers long since closed for the exceed. Night. Then you understand, not as a concept, but as a straightforward, undeniable fact, that you are about to sleep within the palace of Versailles as a guest, a live soul among living things, not as a visitor or a stranger standing behind a rope, walls, during a period when the world was still being shaped by candlelight and cautious hands. The guide waits until you're ready, and when you turn around, she's grinning in that sweet manner she always has as she crosses the she says. If you need anything at all, pausing a minute longer to show you the truth in her face before adding, even more gently, you are safe, and leaving you to walk slowly through the room. You can feel the warmth of the fire seeping deeper into your skin. The air feels gentle against your face and is tinged with the subtle aroma of clean linen and old paper. You walk over to the tiny table near the bed, where a silver bowl and pitcher are waiting. The water is clear and cool for you, and you wash your face and hands in it as they have for centuries. The act of washing away things that are no longer needed in a quiet manner feels like a blessing. You pull back the bed's covers and slide inside the smooth, cool sheets initially, but they quickly warm up to your body. The mattress is firm and deep, designed to support weight without complaining. The canopy above is made of plain, pale silk, which is drawn back to show the ceiling's gentle curve, which is painted to resemble the night sky. You lie there for a while, feeling the deep, certain rightness of it, as though the bed was made for everyone who needed deep rest, not just kings and queens. On the small table next to you, there is a book with a simple cover and leather that has been softly handled by many hands. You reach for it and find it light in your palm. You open it, mindlessly, without knowing what you're looking for. The thick pages and dark, slightly faded lettering are a book of reflections written in a straightforward, uncomplicated perspective of a man who has spent a significant amount of his life. You turn a page and start reading. The words, "I was born to be solitary, to love," come to mind with ease. You are strolling alone through fields and woods, contemplating what it means to be alive. You pause and breathe. The fire crackles softly at the hearth, and you turn another page. Retirement to live more alone than with people, even in the middle of the crowd. And none of the delights that others find in the cacophony of society can reach me in the depths of my own heart. I can enjoy myself in 1,000 innocent ways just by gazing at the grass, trees, and flowers. I allow my heart and senses to roam freely among the natural objects, and everything around me speaks to me about the pleasures of living a life that demands nothing more than to be lived. The words hover over you like a second blanket, warm and certain that they don't need an explanation, because they are sufficient in and of themselves. You turn a few more pages and allow your gaze to wander freely across the lines, enjoying the serene joys of introspection, free from ambition, jealousy, or fear. I feel the complete sweetness of existence at this straightforward moment, and I ask for nothing more. You gently place the book in your palm, and the room fills with the sounds of the fire, the bed's intense warmth, and the rain outside. You lay back against the pillows and gently place the book against the window, allowing the French philosopher Rouse's words to sink deeper into the comfort that has been waiting for you the entire time. You lie motionless for a long time, feeling the bed supports you like the soil supports a tree's roots. You no longer feel any weight, only the gentle draw of sleep rising from those words of simplicity and appreciation for nature, deeper than you can imagine. The hearth fire burns steadily and slowly, and the room's walls seem to breathe, keeping the warmth within like a secret. You pull the blankets up over your shoulder, and the linen has a light lavender and clean scent. The world outside your skin gets softer as you go farther away. The air sinks deeper into the mattress, and the book lies close next to you, its silent weight a source of comfort. The guide comes next, door. The palette is a live object composed of wood, stone, and human hands that stands firmly around you, continuing to withstand the lengthy turning of the year. Breathing slows down. Earth, your mind wanders like leaves on a still. You don't need to hang on to anything. Water.you are current, your home, and safe as the night becomes darker.